stayed sober for about 3 days. They had me on antidepressants, and I just couldn't handle myself, so I just went back to drinking. And it got so bad where I was just waking up in the morning. I was drinking either before work or at lunch, or definitely away from work. And I was driving. I wanted to end my life beyond belief. I wanted to be done, whether it was a car accident, a suicide attempt that actually worked, and whatnot. So I was drinking every day. I was smoking myself to death. I had bad lungs, and so things were just going really bad. I'm living with my dad. I'm 34 years old, and my life just sucks. It's just horrible, and it's 10 times worse than it was the last time, because this time I did lose everything. I lost my wife. I lost my house. Excuse me.
Come on, Timmy.
My dogs. I mean, I lost it all. My car, the whole nine. I had nothing. But I still didn't care. I still wanted to drink every day. So I decided to go to this party one night, heading up to White River, and I got hammered again, of course, and I drove my vehicle up there, and I did an illegal turn or whatever, and I got pulled over, and I got a DWI. So I had to call my father, and I said, well, this sucks. I said, I'm up in White River, I'm in jail, and would you please come get me? And, it really sucked because I'm calling my father after 15 years of, trying to get my life back together, and it hurt him, and it hurt me. So he came up there and he got me, and, my thoughts were, well, I'm never drinking again. I'm going to go back and get sober and do this. Well, that lasted for about 6 days. I stayed sober. My 6th day was Thanksgiving of last year. And my mom called up and said, hey, you want to come over to New Hampshire and have dinner with us after you have it with your dad? I said, yep. So I drove over there, and I got really pissed off because when I got there, nobody else was there. So what does a true alcoholic do when they're pissed off? I picked up a drink. So I proceeded to drink about 8 to 10 beers in about 3 hours. And then I decided to drive back to Vermont that night. So 6 days later, I get all the way to Claremont. Things are going good. I'm doing 75 and a 30. And I get nabbed again, and I get pulled over. And another DWI 2 times in 6 days. I had to call my father again. And the disappointment in his eyes and just what I did to my family really got to me, So I had no choice at that time. I couldn't do it myself anymore. I couldn't get sober. So I talked about treatment. A place kind of like here. I went to a place called Valley Vista up in northern Vermont. And it was the best choice I ever made. I was anti, recovery and recovery centers, and I can do it on my own. I did it before, but I couldn't. With the depression and everything that was going on, I couldn't handle myself. So I put myself up there on December 7th of 2013. And it was the best thing I ever did. I went up there, I got some help with my mental issues, and I definitely got some help with my addiction and my alcoholism. And it got me sober again. And this time, I'm really, really working the program. I'm really working my sobriety because I don't have another drunk in me. This one almost took my life multiple times in the last year. And even when I was 4 months sober, after I got out of treatment and everything, things were going well, I decided to still smoke cigarettes. Quite bad, thank you. I decided to smoke cigarettes really bad because I didn't want to turn back to booze, and I was having some problems with my depression. Well, I'm 34 years old, and I was diagnosed with COPD 2 years ago, and restrictive lung disease, so the stupidest thing I could have done was spit cigarettes back up again. But I did, and I was 4 months sober, and I ended up in the hospital, in Springfield Hospital again. And this time I was sober, and I still wanted to die. And I just couldn't figure it out. I didn't know what was going on. It was my depression. And I still wasn't comfortable. I still didn't feel good. So I ended up staying in the hospital on a breathing machine for a couple of days. Some serious reality set in. They told me if I showed up a day later, I would have been $1 short. And I wouldn't have made it. So, I got to the hospital. I spent 7 days there. The doctor said, you got to quit smoking cigarettes. You got to, work on you and your life, or you're gonna die. And that time, finally, it really hit me. That I had to make a change, now that I'm sober, of putting down, cigarettes and that kind of stuff.